composed as much as I can. And thank you for sharing this stage, letting me present. Um, I hope we can start now, right?
We can indeed, and just to say, Akhilesh, you're joining us obviously all the way from Singapore today, aren't you?
That's right. Yes. So,
Fun.
hello everyone. My name is Akhil, and I am joining you all from Singapore. Currently working here in Microsoft Singapore in their industry solutions division. We are folks who go out there to deliver all the great things that Microsoft manufactures. I mean, I'm just like any one of you who's into the Microsoft technology stack services delivery. And today, the topic that I'm going to cover is Dynamics 365 Financial Services Accelerator. And there cannot be a better time to probably get into this topic, the Dynamics 365 Financial Services Accelerator, which has been around for last, if I'm not wrong, around 3 years now, and had been co-developed by Microsoft architects and engineers, and with a lot of value add that came from our partners and customers as well. So all the folks out there who were developing solutions for financial services, banking, insurance, and as Raj was mentioning just now, he has himself done quite a lot of extensive work in this space on Microsoft technology stack, all the way from CRM 3.0 to 4.0. People have been like envisioning solutions on Microsoft technology stacks and business applications, specifically for financial services industry, right? And for the banks, for retail banking, for corporate, for commercial, for insurance, and so on and so forth, right? So somewhere around like 3 years back, they kind of came up. Microsoft came up with a free offering, and I am quoting this word free very specifically because the story that I'm going to link with this is quite interesting. So yeah, Microsoft got into manufacturing a lot of accelerators for different industry verticals, and financial services was one of them. And all the different partners who were leading in this space, be it Veripark, be it Hexaware, be it HCL Power Objects, be it Accenture, all of them kind of helped incubate the ideas, envision the direction and everything. And that's how the Financial Services Accelerator came into being. Rubbing shoulders with that, there were other services accelerator that came. These were for manufacturing, these were for healthcare, and so on and so forth. But the story is getting interesting from here. So let's start with Dynamics 365 Financial Services Accelerator, powered by Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, right? So that's where the story started. And before I jump into how things transpired, let me just give a brief agenda on what are the different topics or different subheads that I'm going to cover in this presentation. We are going to talk about the background of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Financial Services Accelerator. We are going to talk about where it is at the moment, right? Where do you go and grab it? We are also going to talk about Microsoft's focus that has shifted over these years, and everything is now going to link to a philosophy that we call as industry solutions, in which Microsoft has come up with cloud, specific cloud for financial services, healthcare, nonprofit, manufacturing, retail, and sustainability. We are also going to look into what is there in Microsoft Cloud for financial services, the nitty-gritties of it. We are going to see something technical because we are mindful this is a Dataverse Summit. Quite a few techies are out there, people representing our partners, our customers, everyone is out there, and you will be excited when you see the technical side of things, obviously linked back with the business side or the functional side of it, right? We are also going to deep dive into one of the specific banking segments, which is retail banking, and how Microsoft Cloud basically facilitates that. And then obviously we'll be talking about how you are going to lay your hands on that. What are the opportunities for people out there who are kind of have been building solutions on Dynamics and who have been utilizing Dynamics as their solution, right? And we'll briefly talk about pricing because honestly speaking, my job role in Microsoft is not about talking commercials and all, but yeah, we need to have a fair amount of understanding that how is it that we get into grabbing this and offering this to our customers, right? We will also get into different frequently asked questions as to what are some of the details about this cloud. But before we go to the cloud story, let us start with the background, the Dynamics 365 Financial Services Accelerator. So as I said, somewhere around 2017, 2018, Microsoft came up with different accelerators, and financial services was one of them. What they put together was basically a common data model, some of the sample applications built on Dynamics 365 customer engagement, which you used to call it as, and obviously on Power Platform. And they wanted to make a connected experience between Power Apps and Dynamics, and that's how the entire Microsoft Banking Accelerator got shaped up, right? So these are a couple of screen grabs on what basically someone who used to get this solution, the Banking Accelerator solution, used to have their world like, right? So on the right hand side, top right hand side, you see one retail 360 contact, right? So you've got a retail banking segment customer, Betty Welsh, and this is her customer 360, right? So that's one side of what all Banking Accelerator brought on the table. And on the second side, you see some nice Power BI charts that used to come bundled with the accelerator, which you can obviously leverage, extend further, take the cues from, take the inspiration from, and create more dashboards for your relationship managers, for your commercial bankers, for your end users, and so on and so forth, right? So with all that, it all looked like something great. Obviously, as I said, partners contributed in this, and some of the partners took the early recipe of it. They kind of baked it. They kind of packaged it, and they added some more, did some more value add on top of it, and that's how they kind of created the holistic solution for the banking customers. So far, so good. It all worked well. Partners out there made some good traction with the financial services market, and everything was going gaga. But as you know, technology doesn't stop at some point, right? COVID would come, right? Then you would need more and more enterprise mobility. You would need more and more connected experiences, right? And that's where, and last but not the least, you would need a lot of artificial intelligence. You would need machines learning things. You would need robots doing the process automation, the RPA stuff. So everything put together had some kind of space to fill, right, in the banking industry. So Accelerator was doing good. It was solving a lot of business problems, but there was a lot of space that was remaining to be filled when it comes to automating some middle office processes, some back office processes, and obviously looking at the complex landscape that banks generally have with their core banking systems, with yesteryear technologies, legacy technologies, some of them which are not extensible enough. And that's where all the RPA and everything comes into picture. So with all of that, we cannot stop by just launching the accelerator and sitting peacefully, right? So it kept on evolving. We learned from the partners' experiences. We learned from our own experiences wherever we went to implement the accelerator, and that's how the story kind of marched forward. Just to tie it back to some of the technical stuff, when accelerator came in, what all was provided with it. So obviously, common data model is out there for quite a number of years. So obviously, everything was built on common data model. So you have the generic entities, you have the accounts for B2B customers, you have contacts, you have appointments, phone calls, owners, and so on and so forth. And obviously, a very robust security mechanism backed by everything that Arpit Raj just talked about. You had business units, you had teams, access teams, ownership, record-based ownership, and field level security and whatnot, right? But we also needed to extend that data model to fit the industry vertical space, right? And that's where the industry accelerators data model, industry data model came into picture. Something that is very specific to automotive went into automotive accelerator, something specific to banking, like your branches, your collaterals, your financial products, mortgage applications, and so on and so forth. All of that came into financial services accelerator. And similarly, few other things went into data models for other industries like medical and healthcare, higher education, non-profit, and so on, right? So with that, as I said, everything was going great. And then technology is evolving. The business problems are kind of getting elevated. banks are facing increased competition from all the fintechs, all the digital bank licenses, taxi companies jumping into the fray doing banking, food ordering apps jumping into banking. Who is not into banking these days, right? Even the gaming companies are getting into banking services because all they have is a lot of digital user adoption. They have the customer's footprint into a different vertical, and they want to just leverage that. So all of them came into this space, and they did not have the baggages to carry from the technologies, the AS400 and all sorts of legacy technologies that you had out there. They kind of came up with a fresh breeze of technologies, and they started posing threat to the traditional banks. So that's where all the banks also wanted to kind of evolve and go into the digital banking space, and that's where the need was felt to have an entire cloud for the financial services, which just not limits itself to business applications space, but also go far and beyond Dynamics 365 Power Platform and leverage all sorts of platform as a service, the PaaS, Azure PaaS layer, and obviously the all the AI ML capabilities that has been added to the technology stack. So where is it now? Where is really the financial services accelerator? It used to be on Microsoft AppSource, totally free. You go to AppSource, download the solution, you start using it, you start building on top of it. So far, so good. Everyone who wanted to leverage, who had those banking customers out there, who had solutions to be envisioned. Even if you don't have customers, probably you would like to build something for banking industry based on your experience. So all the people were going to AppSource, downloading the solution and extending it, right? So when I talked to Raj about this session, the very first thing I did based on my previous experiences, hit this URL, right? And the moment I hit this URL, I got this page not found error. And I was like, my heart skipped a few beats. I said, wow, if it's not there, what am I going to present there? Then I got in touch with a few folks in Microsoft, and I said, where is it really? And they told us that it's really at the GitHub, right? So it's not there at AppSource. The moral of the story is, if you are looking out there to grab a copy of the Financial Services Accelerator, it's not at the AppSource, it's at the GitHub, right? Because the preferred solution that Microsoft today is focusing on is not the Financial Services Accelerator, but we don't stop the enthusiasts out there, the professionals out there, the partners and customers out there to basically leverage what they used to leverage in the yesteryear. So there have been quite a different versions that are present in the GitHub. You can always trace the latest one, see the release notes, and based on your requirements, you can always download. You can get the source code, you can get all the sample apps, Power Apps, and everything, all the components that we had bundled together, right? So we are saved here, right? But what happens to all that we talked about was needed to battle the evolving banking services space, right? So we needed to have that answer. And that's where the Microsoft Cloud for Industry is basically tried to fill the gap. So what Microsoft has done is, as I said, it has manufactured the cloud, full-fledged cloud for all the different industry verticals, including your healthcare, retail, nonprofit, manufacturing, and even for sustainability, which is kind of the talk of the town at the moment, looking at all the threats that our planet is facing on the sustainability end, right? So we have cloud for sustainability as well. But today's focus is really on the cloud for financial services. So this is where you get this new offering. So now this entire conversation for this session is moving from Financial Services Accelerator over to Microsoft Cloud, because the dilemma that I was facing when I was preparing for this session is whether I talk about the Financial Services Accelerator, which is kind of getting sunsetted. And I'm not saying sunsetted means it's totally going to phase out. As I said, if you have the courage and conviction to go ahead and build a first-party app for your customers out there or prospects out there, you can still leverage the common data model and the industry-specific data model and build something. But if you want to leverage, if you want to tap on the expertise and the experience of the Microsoft product engineering architects and engineers, that's where you probably shift your focus onto one of the clouds. And in our case, it is the cloud for financial services. So I'm just clicking the link to show you where all that information is contained, right? So here is the URL. It's basically inside docs, docs.microsoft.com, and under industry area for financial services. This is where should be your one-stop shop for learning more about cloud for financial services, and also trying to understand how you can grab it, how you can buy it for your customers, suggest your customers to get it, and then how you can leverage all the different things the wow factors that have been created for financial services industry. You will get bite-sized videos, lessons, and learning resources over here. So feel free to go in and explore this, right? I'll come to the point where Microsoft partners and customers have different spaces where they can go much deeper. But if you are someone an enthusiast who wants to learn what is cloud for financial services, this is where you go. Coming back to the presentation, so now we kind of talked around 20 minutes on accelerator, and now we have to shift focus to cloud for financial services. And this is how we bridge the gap, right? So that tomorrow, if someone asks you the question that, what is it that you as a Microsoft technology professional can offer me in the financial services vertical, this should be your answer, right? So let's hit this button. And one more thing, yes, as I had said, Accelerator was powered by Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, but here it elevates further, and this is powered by Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform, which means the entire breadth of services and products that Microsoft offers. So delving deeper on cloud for financial services, as I said, what does it bring on the table? A few things. It helps you deliver differentiated customer experience for the banking customers. For your internal employee workforce, it empowers them through teamwork by having better collaboration in place. And last but not the least, it focuses on one of the core elements of banking industry, which is security, your data security, your transaction security, and your overall ecosystem security by combating the financial crime, right? So cloud for financial services basically brings everything, and it becomes a trusted cloud to accelerate the innovation for sustainable growth of this industry, right? What are the different capabilities? So I'm just going peeling the onion further. So we are going to the different capabilities that Microsoft Cloud for Financial Services brings on the table. On the left-hand side, as you can see, everything starts from the front office function where you basically grab your customers or acquire your customer. So this is about customer onboarding or customer acquisition. So the cloud basically has got state-of-the-art built-in processes for orchestrating your customer onboarding for retail banking customers, right? So it provides the customers with easy access, loan applications, self-service tools, self-service portals to express interest for opening a bank account, applying for a credit card, applying for a loan, applying for a mortgage, and so on and so forth, right? So all of that is basically covered in the overall cloud offering. For the internal employees, relationship managers and all who want to have the customer 360 information or the unified customer profile, it helps tailor the customer experience via a comprehensive view of the customer's financial situation. So it would not just give the firmographic and the demographic information about the customers, but it would also give the overall holistic view on what are the financial holdings, what are the household connections, what are the relationships of this person, and obviously extending it to the next level where it is just not about your transactional data in your CRM database, but also capturing your behavioral data from some of the customer data platforms like Customer Insights, right? So all of that is bunched together in unified customer profile. It also gives the risk assurance and support. So we know that banking is all about managing risks, right? All the way from the time when you acquire your customers till the time when you are catering to them, till the time that you are upselling and cross-selling to them, there has to be periodic risk check that needs to be associated with every customer out there that you are dealing with, right? So all of that is also provided in these service offerings, and obviously all of this has to be done respecting the regulatory compliance on the region that your bank is operating, or some of the global compliances that apply to the industry as a whole, right? So there is a huge bunch of regulatory compliance checklist out there that we have kind of tick marked ourselves that we comply to all of these. Apart from that, there are other workloads or the functional areas like collaboration manager, which is basically the one-stop shop for all your employee groups between front office, middle office, and back office to collaborate seamlessly, so that you can expedite on your processes, minimize your errors, and enhance the customer experience by better serving the customer without the customer getting bothered with the same kind of questions and clarifications by different departments, right? And obviously, all of this, as I said, has to be backed by account protection and the purchase protection, because it is not just about keeping the banking information of the customer secure, but also keeping the transactional information or the sales purchase and the buyer protection or the purchase protection that needs to be done. Everything has been built on Microsoft native cloud, and it is powered by the data model in the connectors. And obviously, we can never undermine the role that our partners play to help us build this ecosystem and extend it further to basically make it very tailored offering to specific banks, right? So banks are sensitive organization, they are a sensitive industry, and our partners have the experience to deal with this sensitivity, and that's where our partners kind of complement us or supplement us in catering to the industry needs. Now, how Microsoft Cloud for Financial Services comes to life, right? So as I said, with the growing partner ecosystem that we have across the globe, strategic partners that accelerate the delivery of value to our customers, they are basically going to leverage Microsoft Cloud for Financial Services capabilities, build more pillar solutions on top of the core layer, and leverage the industry data model, the strong foundation of privacy, security, and regulatory compliance, and build very tailor-made solutions for all the banks out there. Now, I would just like to spend some time over here, because this slide is kind of very interesting, because it kind of puts everything in a nutshell in terms of what is it that facilitates this entire solution landscape. I would go from bottom up. So at the bottom, as you can see, we have the purple band, which is about the core financial services systems. So this is something that the banks already have, right? And we are trying to basically understand where the Microsoft Cloud basically sits in one of the banks. So imagine there is a bank out there, the Woodgrove Bank, and they have got their own core banking solutions out there. So that's the purple layer. Then you need to have the industry relevant security and compliances that you have to follow. So that's where the Azure cloud comes into picture. And then on top of that, we kind of build the industry data model. Now, the second layer is very interesting, because looking at all the regulatory constraints and compliances that the banks need to follow, the typical approach that we have seen customers adopting is multi-cloud or hybrid cloud strategy, and right? Because banks out there, they know that they have very diverse functions, and that's where they want to leverage the best of breed services that all the different clouds are providing, right? And then obviously they want to keep a lot of line of business applications within their enterprise in their private cloud, and that's how it becomes the hybrid model that the banks basically adopt. But whichever model a bank is adopting, our industry data model that is facilitated by Cloud for Financial Services can come and seamlessly sit on top of it, right? So the story of the data model that is started from Financial Services Accelerator and evolved to what it is now, and it is further evolving beyond retail banking and going over to commercial and corporate probably someday. All of that has seamless capability to sit on the existing cloud and on-premise, or probably the hybrid landscape that the banks have, right? And needless to say, all that is facilitated by the Microsoft Azure cloud and the capabilities that it brings on the table to have a hybrid cloud kind of landscape. We should not forget that on top of all the infrastructure and all the platform, we need to have the icing on the cake with our Power Platform and Dynamics 365, and backed by some of the wow applications like Microsoft Teams, which are facilitated by Microsoft 365 Cloud, right? So with that, all of that becomes your uniform landscape, and that's where we can think of having specifically diving down into specific business function areas, right? So I would start from the box here, which is about banking customer engagement, and that's where some of the core workloads of our business application space come into picture. So some of the workloads like Dynamics 365 customer service, omni-channel for customer service, chat for Dynamics 365, customer voice, and customer insights, which is the customer data platform. All of that put together facilitates the functional area banking customer engagement, right? When it comes to customer onboarding and acquisition of the customer, there is a retail banking sample portal that's provided. The customers and partners out there can choose to leverage this or probably build their own portal or link the entire solution landscape with an already existing portal that the banks may be having. So you have the make versus buy decision that you can do here. But if someone is starting from scratch and or probably wants to remain within the Microsoft ecosystem, they can very well have a retail banking sample portal that's built on Power Apps portal, right? And then on top of it, we have some of the great applications which are built on top of Power Platform or Power Apps. So for example, Loan Tracker is one of those, which is basically in a scenario where a retail banking customer is applying for the loan. So this Loan Tracker application is used by as the enterprise mobility application by the employees of the bank, by the relationship manager, by the underwriter, and so on and so forth. So everyone can seamlessly work on this Loan Tracker to expedite on the loan application done by the retail banking customer. As I said, there is another functional area about Collaboration Manager, because to cut short the turnaround time for banking customers, it is important that all the different personas, all the different departments in a bank should have seamless collaboration among themselves. And that's where Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Bookings, SharePoint, and Power Apps come together, and they give you a core offering called as Collaboration Manager. And then obviously, as I said, you need to have a very robust customer 360 in place, which facilitates the unified customer profile, and that's basically powered by Power Apps and Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. Why Power Apps? Because we have leveraged quite a few purpose-built Canvas apps that we have also embedded on the model-driven app. So we have leveraged that concept, and on top of it, we have also built some great PCF controls also, which put together offer a great unified customer profile, which you used to call as Customer 360 so far, right? As I said, for your account and purchase protection, we need to have Dynamics 365 fraud protection. And obviously for regulatory compliance, we have Compliance Manager as one of the offerings. And for risk assurance and support, we have the Financial Services Compliance Program, which is kind of best practices and some of the important things that every solution in banking industry must tick before going live. So all of that is encompassed. Now, I want to put a disclaimer here, and the disclaimer here is that a customer who has decided to leverage Microsoft Cloud for financial services doesn't need to buy licenses for every single thing that you see on this screen. Not necessarily. So we are not pushing hard on all the offerings. It's just about understanding which area of the application landscape you're trying to resolve, and based on that, the licenses would be decided. And the second thing is all of this. I mean, when it is compared to Dynamics 365 Financial Accelerator used to be a free offering, which means if you have the core licenses that power the accelerator, which means if you have Dynamics license, if you have Power Apps license, then it's just a solution that you bring on the table and you are up and running. But here, the differentiation is that you buy core licenses in a bank for all the users, and then you buy an additional software as a service offering, which is the Cloud for Financial Services, which is an SKU in itself. You pay for it and you grab it. Now, I will go to the details of what this pricing looks like. Is it per user, per license, per user per month sort of pricing, or per tenant sort of pricing? Because we have seen, based on our experience, both kind of workloads that Microsoft offers, and some of them are priced per tenant level, and some are priced on the per user per month level. All right, I'll take a short pause here. If anyone has any questions so far, feel free to ask, or else I'll just move ahead. All right, so moving ahead to the data model. So when it comes to the industry data model or the financial data model that you get with Cloud for Financial Services, there are three things that we have taken care of. One is this data model should comply to industry specificity. That means we leverage the common data model and complement it with financial services specific semantics like customer schema, branch schema, loan application schema, groups and relationships schema, live events schema, financial holdings schema, and so on and so forth, right? So all of that put together basically, and this is not it. This is basically some of the salient ones. It's much more than that. And if I point you to the link here, which I'm going to delve deeper, it's all documented in docs. So the beautiful thing that everything we offer as of today is that you kind of get a very transparent picture of the core layer in docs, right? So docs is basically the encyclopedia where you go and you dig further on the data model. But before I go and delve further, I just need to cover a couple of other points. One of that is interoperability that has been taken care in the FS data model, and obviously the innovation. By innovation, I mean that we have limited the extension capability to some of the entities out there because we don't want the people who are extending to compromise on the core philosophy, because you must have heard this typical problem that every XRM project faces and which is like, do I need to create an entity or do I need to leverage something that's provided in the product, right? Or do I just go for a custom entity? So to basically stop that dilemma or minimize that dilemma in the minds of the maker versus buyer, we have kind of put that check in place so that innovation can keep coming from the Microsoft architects and engineers, and then simultaneously we also get the best industry experience from our partners who are also extending this solution. So I will delve deeper into how we are basically limiting that or probably complementing all of that. But that's one thing. And then in terms of interoperability, this data model ingests, enriches, and unifies data to break down data silos. And just by the name itself or the whatever is mentioned here itself, you would be able to relate it back to which workload I'm talking about, right? When we talk about ingesting, enriching, and unifying data to break down data silos, there is no guessing that we are talking about customer insights, which is the customer data platform where you can have all the disparate data sources put together to have your unified customer profile, right? And when we are talking about disparate applications, we need to have connectors, right? And all this is facilitated by 400 plus over connectors, which Power Automate brings on the table. And then obviously it is not limited there. You can always extend and build the custom connectors for anything which is not out there still, right? So all of that put together basically empowers the industry data model. But as I had promised, let me just go deeper for telling you where is the documentation for the data model in entirety. So again, in docs.microsoft.com, there is another area for common data model, which has got entity reference, and then it delves further into industry common solutions, and that's where you get the financial services, right? So you will get all the data model specification that's there in the accelerators from yesteryears, and also for the latest cloud. So you will get the data model for the cloud for financial services. You will get the data model for loan onboarding application, for retail banking application. And then in this Dataverse Summit itself, one of our great friends, Golok, is going to cover Microsoft Cloud for healthcare. So even that data model is covered here. So I leave that part to for the healthcare, but this is just to give you an idea that everything is out there in open for the enthusiasts, for our customers and partners to go ahead and leverage. Okay. All right. So Going further, let's now try to understand what are the capabilities that kind of connect a unified journey for a retail banking customer. So it starts from a unified customer profile. As I said, whoever is dealing with the customer need to have a fair idea about all the customer affairs, right? So that's where unified customer profile comes into picture. Acquisition is very important, and so is upselling and cross-selling. So that's where your customer onboarding comes into picture. Internal collaboration or breaking silos between the different departments, that's where collaboration manager comes into picture. And then obviously you have the banking customer engagement via multiple channels, reach out to customers over marketing channels, the GTM strategies, everything put together is there. And also it is not just one way where you reach out to customers with all that you have to offer, but also listening it back from the customers regarding their feedbacks, regarding their issues, concerns, and everything. That's where the entire customer engagement comes into picture. So to delve deeper, when we talk about unified customer profile, what are some of the things that basically facilitate the unified customer profile? So as I said, all of this is facilitated by customer insights, the financial details, such as life events. When did a person land into a job? When is he changing a job? When is he buying a car? When he's getting married? When he's having a baby? And so on and so forth, right? So all of these life events are very important for the bankers to know, because these are really the touch points in which they can reach out to the customer with a very personified message saying that we are glad to hear that you recently got married. And then that's where you strike a conversation about anything that you want to offer as a joint offering, probably a bank locker or probably a joint investment for both the spouse, right? So those kind of things are very important for the banker. So anyone, if in this forum, if you are from the banking industry or have been implementing, you would very much relate to this, that how important it is to understand the life events of the customers. And if your relationship manager has a 360-degree view of the life events, the birthday of the customer, the marital status, the family affairs, education, employment, residence, and so on and so forth, it all makes a lot of facilitation of striking the conversation with your prospects and customers. There is also a summary view, because when we talk about customer 360 of our banking users, it is not just limited to the sellers. Your service folks out there also need to have a good understanding of what this customer has bought recently, how is the overall sentiment, basically. So all of this is important, right? What are the cards that they are holding? So all of that is put together in this UI. I feel this UI is kind of very different from what we generally see in the core Dynamics 365, right? And that's where this edge comes. That's where this expertise and experience come from the architects and engineers of Microsoft, where they have put together all the industry expertise, all the partners, they have leveraged on the partners' experience, and they have put together everything into something like this, right? So when you buy the commercial off-the-shelf product, and then you apply the cloud for financial services solutions on top of it, this is how the shape and form of the entire solution basically takes a twist and turn and becomes very focused and very targeted for the banking industry. Quite often than not, your banking customers generally are not limited to one segment, because you may be having a retail banking customer who happens to be a CXO of a firm which is also having a corporate banking account with you. And a good unified customer profile should give you his footprint on all the different banking segments or all the relationship that he has with the bank. So all of that basically is facilitated here. And last but not the least, when there is so fierce competition out there, it is important to keep measuring the customer sentiment and the chances of the customer getting churned out, right? So that's where the churn risk comes into picture, and that's where the adaptive AI, artificial intelligence, comes into picture, which helps anticipate customer abandonment, so you can work proactively to reduce risk of churn. So what is the system going to tell you is that this customer out there is having a medium risk or likelihood to churn, or a high risk or a low risk. And that's where relationship managers can focus on having a very personalized attention given to this customer. So all of this is provided here. In the interest of time, I would just skip a few slides because I want to cover the breadth of this rather than going to the depth. I know when we are talking about an offering like Cloud for Financial Services, the depth is enormous. So I'll just skip a few slides and move on to something which kind of gives a fair idea about what all of this is. But before I go to the next area, next functional area, I would like to give you the philosophy that we have put together to build the product like this, right? So one of the important factors that we have considered for extensibility is componentization, and second thing is embedding your process. So what that means is the entire UI that you see on for any feature is basically a combination of multiple components, right? And these components are basically built for different kind of persona specifically, right? So if we know that we have a component which is required in the model-driven app, but is also required in the enterprise mobility app, we have kind of made it a separate component altogether. Whether it is about the churn, whether it is about the financial holding, whether it is about the family relationship, or whether it is about the quick summary of a customer. All of that is basically a component. What that means is that means basically reusability also, right? So for example, tomorrow, if there is another persona or department out there which only wants to have a subset of this information, you can pick and choose one component to deploy in the app that you build for them, right? And that's what is componentization is all about. And second thing is all of this has been done on the no-code tools complemented with the pro-code tools, right? So it's a combination of your Power Apps and your heavy lifting that you do with the code, with the PCF controls, with the plugins, with the workflows, and so on and so forth, right? So everything has been thoughtfully constructed so that while you get the componentization, you also have a connected flow between all the different components and have a seamless process flow between all the components. So that's the common philosophy you will find in all the workloads that we have built on this, right? And I'd like to reiterate that because this is Dataverse Summit, trust me, everything is Dataverse here, right? So if I have to tell specifically the reference architecture for this customer profile, again, this is the bank environment where you have the core banking systems, additional banking data sources, your CIF library, right, where you keep your customer information, your account systems, your document vaults, and so on and so forth, right? And complementing that will be the Dataverse layer, and this Dataverse layer will have the common data model, the industry data model, the financial services CI entities, and obviously the core retail banking plugins, right? Now, are we saying that this cloud is only specific to retail banking? We started with focusing on retail banking because a large amount of business problems and the solutions are required there, right? So problems are out there, the fast moving transactions are out there, and a big chunk of the segment is out there, right? And that's the reason while we went out to solve the business problems, we started focusing on retail banking first, and eventually, obviously, the story will be propagating further to other segments, right? So that's where all your different solutions come into place. And as I said, everything is plug and play. So if someone says that, you know what, I am looking to replace the retail banking landscape that I have today, probably a year later, but I want to still leverage on the Microsoft core stack, they can get into this with probably just the 3 stack, right? Or probably the 4, depending on their situation. So this is absolutely plug and play. Complementing the Dataverse, obviously sits on top of it is a combination of your model-driven and Canvas apps, the core banking, the core retail banking controls for customer snapshot, for connections, groups, and relationships, who is connected to whom, who is whose wife, husband, son, daughter, relations, professional relations, personal relations out there. Everything is basically componentized here. And so is life events, so is financial holding. Everything is basically a different app altogether, as I said, right? So if you say that, okay, for one of the persona, I want to pick and choose item number 1 and 3, But for another persona, I want all 4 of them. And for the third persona, I just want item 2 and 4, right? So you can always pick and choose which particular apps you put together for churning a super app for one of the personas. And then everything is backed by the common data, the customer data platform, which is Customer Insights in our case, which will basically give you the intelligence, the behavioral and the transactional data to come and sit with your CRM data. And that's where your financial services segments data comes into picture. All sorts of artificial intelligence models that you would custom make on Azure ML Studio, even they can be leveraged from there. And all your financial services measures, the commonly used ones, are already included in the bundle product, but you can always extend by leveraging the Azure ML functionality. So with that, let me just give you something directly from the sorry, I'm not sure if this will be launching the voice also, but I'll skip this because I think I can play the video at the last. I think while I shared my content, I forgot to share the audio. So I'll come back to that. The second part of the story or the functional area is basically customer onboarding, where you need to basically cater to an application, work on that application, do the risk check and everything. And those who have leveraged from your partner experience or customer experience, those who have leveraged the financial services accelerator, you must be familiar with this. We have just sophisticated this process further by leveraging some of the latest ads in the solution stack, but loan application was always there in the financial services accelerator as well. So we have improvised it further. As you can see, there are some PCF controls out there. There are some other apps which basically give you the loan application progress overview, and they also give you the overall life cycle of the business process flow for the loan application, starting from the point where the application is received from the portal to the loan processing to underwriting over to closure, right? And linking it back to the overall customer 360, whether this is the maiden business that you are doing with this customer, or this is something that you are selling on top of the core services that you have been offering to them, right? So what this does is this accelerates the application process because we have already taken care of the core business process that's applicable out there, but it can always be tweaked or tailor-made specific to a bank if this does not really fit 100% to the customer's need. So absolutely extensible, but as I said, the framework is there, and the best practices are out there when you install the cloud. So that you can leverage it further on the same lines without having a difference in the user experience. So, in terms of customer onboarding, what all components, solution components are leveraged? As I said, again, Dataverse will be at the core of it. On top of the existing banking landscape, Dataverse will come. So that's where this entire dark blue box is the Microsoft technology stack. On the Dataverse side, on top of common data model, industry data model, we have the loan onboarding data model. So when we say loan onboarding data model, there are out there a specific set of entities, attributes, and relationships to facilitate the loan onboarding process itself, right? So that's here. And as I said, there is a disclaimer here that the customer onboarding includes an optional sample portal powered by Power Portal to showcase how customers can interact with the system. So if you have to make it a self-service thing wherein people can express their interest on the corporate website or probably the portal or do a basic application on the portal, specifically in times like these where no one wants to go to the branch looking at the COVID situation. So yes, they can leverage the application capabilities, in the portal itself. So once the application comes into the portal, that's where all of this comes into picture. We have loan application specific plugins out there, business processes, application management logic, business rules and everything, and the document rule engine, because when it is about loan, you need to collect a lot of collaterals, right? And you have to safe keep all those collaterals, right? So that's where the document rule engine comes into picture. And what is offered to the end users? Basically, the different Power Apps. There is a loan tracker application Canvas app. Then there are specific onboarding controls for application snapshot, for loan parties details verification, financial strength snapshot, assets liabilities view, and the loan application document management. Because the different personas out there in the bank who will be working on facilitating this loan application will need to have a view of all of these. What are the existing assets and liabilities, and whether this person is financially sound to be offered a loan or probably not, right? And all of this basically is again complemented by Power Automate, which also helps to auto archive a lot of different applications from previous months or years. As I said, the other couple of functional areas that we have is obviously Collaboration Manager, and Collaboration Manager is again facilitated by Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Booking. Microsoft Booking is specifically when the customer is trying to do a meeting booking with the relationship manager and want to leverage on one of the online channels to have a meeting with their relationship manager. So for all those kind of business scenarios, we have got the Collaboration Manager, not just for the collaboration with the customer, but also for the collaboration among the different departments within the bank. And needless to say, all of this is backed by secure messaging. So you don't need to worry about the data leak or the information leak when we are leveraging one of these collaboration channels. In terms of the reference architecture, for the Collaboration Manager, at the core, we have the system of record, which is your CIF. On top of it, we have connectors using integration service connectors, where we connect to the system of record, and we bring the information back and forth with the Dataverse, where you have the industry toolkit and the banking data model, which basically facilitates the layer for the Collaboration Manager model-driven app. All right, just skipping the deep dives here, and we'll just focus on customer engagement. So in terms of customer engagement, as I said, it is not just the sales persona from the bank who have to basically talk about, who have to basically have to talk to customer and look at the customer 360, but in the service scenarios also, the people who are in the bank call center, the people who are dealing with the issues, complaints, requests, inquiries, they also need to have a good view of everything and also seamlessly converse with the customer over multiple channels, right? So banking customer engagement basically cuts across the different sales and services workloads. And in the customer service center, basically some things that we have tabbed here is obviously omni-channel for customer service, so that you have the seamless multi-channel collaboration with the customer over chat, over email, over phone call, over bots, right? So two-way bot conversations is starting the conversation with automated bots and then passing over to the manual agent. So all of that is facilitated. And with the latest Dynamics 365 customer service voice or customer voice, which is one of the channels for CTI integration, a purpose-built CTI option by Microsoft, even that is leveraged in Financial Services Accelerator. So you can kind of erect a whole call center, voice-based call center on top of the Microsoft stack itself without caring about the CTI offerings out there, right? And as I said, in this customer engagement also, you get the holistic 360-degree view, so that when the agent is talking to the customer, they have the holistic view on what are the cards, what are the holdings, what are the relationships, and assets, liabilities, all sorts of information, or probably top 10 transactions or the last 10 transactions that the customer had. All right, so we'll just take another minute or probably 30 seconds here. As I said, everything that banking customer engagement brings on the table is again built on Dataverse. and the different layers. And then on top of it, we have the Power Apps, which are purpose built for some of the information putting together. And then on top of everything, we have the omni-channel, right? And then all of this is backed by your CDP platform, the Customer Insights. I will take a pause here. I know I'm just around the hour here. Any questions so far? Anything that kind of raises curiosity? Anything that you want to like to clarify? I know a lot of you out there would have leveraged Financial Services Accelerator to build offerings for your customers. If you have any questions as to how your existing landscape gets complemented by Microsoft Cloud, feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer.
Hello there. Thanks for that, Akhilesh. So there is a question by Joe Scully asking, am I right in assuming that we download the accelerators and build our own solutions on top of them without the need for a Dynamics 365 license?
Yes. As I said, that's where the story started, wherein Financial Services Accelerator, the free offering you used to download from the App Source. You see, when you go to App Source, there are two set of offerings that you get. One is the priced, obviously, the people who have kind of spent a lot of blood and sweat to make purpose-built offerings, and they are selling it out there. So you get the priced offerings, plus you get the free teaser ones also, and you get a lot of free offerings from Microsoft also, because we want to kind of give an orientation when you are building the solutions out there. So that's where the accelerators really accelerator concept came in. As I said, now Financial Accelerator is not out there on App Source, but it is very much present on the GitHub. And I'll probably share the link later on when I end this presentation for all the important links. So in GitHub, you can still download the Financial Services Accelerator, and you can trust your own architects and engineers to build solutions on top of it. But if you want to probably tap on the experience of Microsoft architects and engineers, then probably you want to go to the next layer. So as I said, everything is basically part of different layers in the burger, right? So it is just that whether you want to go with the base or probably one layer or two layer or three layer. So to answer your question, yes, you can very well build a solution by buying core Microsoft Dynamics licenses and Power Platform or Azure or any kind of licenses, have the GitHub accelerator, and then build it. But if you want to expedite all this process for your customers, then probably you can leverage cloud also.
Fantastic. And the final question by Frank is, can part of the solution be used as a component in other contexts, e.g., Microsoft Booking can be used as a component to offer appointment scheduling in other industries?
Absolutely, yes. So these are all part of your Microsoft 365 cloud. As I said, it is not limited to just Microsoft leveraging it to the solutions that we will be offering, but it is for our customers and partners also, because in itself it is a technology, right? MS Booking is a technology. Just like you have Teams, just like you have Power Platform, just like you have Dynamics, Azure, and everything else, you have MS Booking also.
Excellent. So I think that allows us to wrap up with 2 or 3 important points. Number one, that the Financial Service Accelerator is a cloud offering that provides, first of all, a data-verse data model, which can be downloaded from GitHub, as you rightly mentioned, Akhilesh, and you can download that into your Power App, and you won't be licensed anything extra because it's part of an open source solution for Power Apps that you can use. However, if you want to use the full offerings that you've been demoing today, Akhilesh, then you do need to obviously acquire the Financial Services for Cloud solution, where there are certain benefits for that. And I guess the final bit is the fact that regardless of which approach you take, whether it's the Dataverse solution or the Dynamics, the Financial Services Cloud, they all operate within the Power Platform. So you can connect your Microsoft bookings, your Power Automates, your flows. You can enhance and customize. You did mention a very important point. There are some constraints and limitations on certain tables that you cannot enhance and customize as part of the financial services cloud. Have I missed any important points there, Akhilesh?
No, that's very crisp, and that kind of sums it up all. As you said, GitHub is the place to go if you want to leverage the financial services accelerator. I have just pasted the link, so feel free to go there, download it, leverage it. So it's all there, documentation, everything. The only thing is it may not evolve from here, because I think it was the last version probably came almost a year back. But yes, you can always build on top of it. Even we have built on top of it, so it can be the starting point. And
fantastic, yeah. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for your time. I know we've run over 5 minutes. Do you have any final announcements to make?
No, I'm very excited with the way we have the Dataverse going on, Dataverse Summit going on. So I'm looking forward to all the other functional tracks that are there further today, and then obviously the technical and other architectural tracks which are there in the days coming 2 days. Yeah.
Well, thank you once again, Akhilesh, for sharing your insight into financial services, which I have to admit is one of the largest industry sectors for Power Platform. So once again, thank you, Akhilesh, for sharing your insight.
Thanks, Raj.